Jay Scherr.
Jay Scherr.
Jay Scherr.
Jay Scherr,
business consultant.
Jay Scherr.
Jay Scherr Business Consulting.
Hey, everybody. I'm Jay Scherr with Jay Scherr Business Consulting. We help entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders maximize their potential, build rock-solid foundations for their businesses, and create more freedom in their lives. And you've joined Business Minds Coffee Chat. William Arthur Ward said, "Adversity causes some men to break, others to break records." Well, on today's episode, we talk about record breaking, overcoming adversity, optimizing productivity and focus, upgrading your body and brain, and more. My guest's story is one of sacrifice, courage, hard work, resilience, and pushing through adversity. He grew up in Belgium and came to the U.S. with $400, a pair of jeans, a backpack, and a dream of making a difference. And a difference maker he is. He's a pioneer in biohacking, regenerative medicine, holistic nutrition, health, and wellness, a best-selling author, an international keynote and motivational speaker, mentor, and a world record holder in swimming, including 31 national titles. Please welcome the author of the new book, The Izod Method, Unleash Your Superpower, and the man who understands that we win or we learn, Dr. Mike Van Thielen. Mike, thank you so much for being here today. It is great to see you.
It's a great pleasure to be on your show, Jay. I'm excited about this.
Well, as am I. And, we were talking before the cameras were rolling about how we met one another, and we actually live in a similar area, yet our paths have never crossed, which I in and of itself, I think is pretty remarkable. But we're here today. That's what matters. And I know we're going to have a fantastic conversation and bring tremendous value to our audience. So let's jump right in. I thought a good starting point would be to find out from you, what does freedom mean?
Well, to me, freedom is being able to make your own choices, right? So I'm part of what we call the health freedom movement. There's many freedoms. Actually, today we're fighting for a lot of freedoms in America and our sovereignty. But I've always been focused on health freedom, which means is especially in America, we're depending on the system. We're depending on what our insurance allows us to do or which doctor to go to. And we're very limited in our choices because the conventional medicine practitioner basically only has three tools: medicines, injections, and surgeries. And so when they don't solve the problem, the practitioner usually tells us that there's nothing we can do, but they're not aware of the other several hundred tools that are out there that don't fit in their tool bag. And so my passion has been to educate people and make them aware that there are other things that we can do, and that we don't even have to blame the government, the FDA, the big pharma, the fake news, the propaganda. It's up to us to take control and take responsibility of our health and the health of our loved ones. And so that's one of my passions, is to show people there's another way, and that we can be in optimal health and even become superhuman without the help of our practitioners and conventional medicine. And so, I believe that health freedom is one of those things that once you achieve health freedom and you know how your body and your mind works, and be in control of it and heal it itself and get in optimal health, that actually sets the stage for the other freedoms. Because what can we do, for example, with time freedom? In other words, if we have a lot of time but we are sick and sad, there's nothing we can do with that time. And so in order to produce, in order to be effective, in order to perform at your highest potential, no matter what it is that you do, whether you're making a masterpiece in art, a masterpiece in music, whether you're an entrepreneur, as a successful CEO, without health, you never will perform at your maximum potential.
Well, that is so very true. And I can hear, and everyone else that's watching and listening right now can hear your passion that comes through in not only your body language if you're watching, but also in your voice. So clearly this is something that's very important to you. And what I love about this is we're going to explore a bit more about some tactical and strategical things that we can do as we delve more deeply into the conversation. So, there are always moments in our lives that can define us, that often change the course of our lives. What is one of those moments that you've experienced?
Yeah, I would see there actually three different moments across the line of my life. The first one, I was about 19 years old, and there was a swim coach in Belgium, but he was the coach of the NATO team, so they were all English-speaking families, and he spoke English too. He was actually Hungarian, and he asked me, I was a swimmer myself, if I could help out and if I wanted to make a little bit extra money. So I did, and this was at the University of Brussels. And then he took me on a training camp, and he sat me down one moment, and he said, Mike, you're an intelligent person, but I need to teach you something, he said. I said, okay. He says, everything you read in books, everything that you have been told about swimming and how to swim, and everything that coaches tell you to do, you cannot just take for granted. You need to start thinking about those things. And so he gave me a few examples in swimming, a few basic things that we all accepted as to be true, and he showed me that they were untrue. And so from that moment on, luckily, 19 years old, he taught me about critical thinking and not just accepting anything that's out there. And so that really changed my life. And I became, actually, of course, I was young, right? So it became initially more of a provocative state of mind. Like I would challenge everything and question everything, to a point where it was maybe a little bit over the top, but it helped me for sure at a young age. Critical thinking, number one. Number two, the first time I was recommended to read the book by Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, long time ago, but I read it. And number 5 jumped out at me because, again, when we're young, we're more opinionated, right? And number 5 is seek to understand than to be understood. When we're talking, we're not learning anything. When we're listening, we can learn a lot. But that principle basically is about, if you disagree with somebody, try to understand where they're coming from, because they have a reason to have a certain opinion. So instead of just dismissing it, try to find out and listen and see why they are thinking a certain way. That doesn't mean you have to agree with them afterwards, but at least you're learning a lot, their perspective and how they came to that, opinion. And so that was very powerful because I really had to work on that one. And then the last one, I guess, is just recently, and I mean recently, the last 5-10 years, I realized, and that has to do with my life story, I never had a mentor or a coach. In order to reach your full potential, you really have to surround yourself not only with like-minded people, but with a team of experts, with people that are strong where you are weak. And that is difficult to do because a lot of people want to work on their weaknesses, and I think that may be a waste, because we have strengths and talents, and we got to recognize what our weaknesses are. And in order to perform at your highest potential, business, sports, it doesn't even matter. You need to find the people that are strong in your weaknesses and create a team of experts. So those are kind of the three top things that changed my life, I guess, along the course.
Beautiful. Very, very powerful. Thank you for sharing those. And I think there are some certain lessons that can be pulled out of all 3 of those that we can all benefit from, no matter what stage or development we are currently in our lives, both personally and professionally. So, as I'm listening to you and thinking about these different areas that you've experienced and the 3 specific things that you just brought up, what comes to mind for me is the word belief, and also how we identify ourselves, because obviously that can have a dramatic impact on what we're able to do, how we move forward in life, the things that we can accomplish, etc. What is something that you believed about yourself early in life that you later discovered wasn't true?
That's an interesting question. That's a difficult question. I know what I believe, but belief systems change, right? I don't know. I didn't know that I was. I have perseverance. When I commit something, or when I did find my purpose of life, and I do like to talk about that to that day. When I did find my purpose of life, there's no stopping. Unfortunately, most people, they don't know what their purpose of life is yet, or they think they do, but it's the wrong. They were wrong about their purpose of life. But I think once you have your purpose of life, there's nothing that stops you. That's why certain people, when they fight, the enemy, which in my case is the big pharma and conventional medicine, right? You don't stop at anything, even if it means you're going to lose some friends, or even it means you're going to cause adversity, or even it means to come knock on your door and come put you in jail. When you have a purpose of life and a passion, nothing's going to stop you. And I guess that's something I didn't realize when I didn't know what my purpose of life was yet, or where my direction would be. And so when listeners don't have fire or passion, they probably didn't figure out what their purpose of life is. And that's going to be key. And that's something that I help people with almost on a daily basis, because there's some exercises that we can do to figure out what that purpose of life is, so you can get that fire and you get that passion. And when you have that, nothing can stop you. And there are no things anymore such as worry, fear, anxiety, depression, because all those conditions, yes, there's therapies, yes, there's medicines, yes, there's nootropics for those, but usually they have a much deeper base. And to me, that's purpose of life. When there's purpose of life, you wake up with a purpose, because you gotta make an incremental step today. You gotta do something to get closer to that dream, or to that goal, or to that superpower. And yes, there will be obstacles, but just like a 110-meter hurdle sprinter, you're gonna attack those hurdles because you know where the finish line is. When you don't have a purpose of life and somebody throws something at you, or there's a hurdle, you throw those arms up, oh my God, I'm the black sheep. I can't do this. I'm giving up, because you don't have that purpose in life, right? So anything negative in life means you probably don't have your purpose.
So we're going to explore that a bit, because I think that's a very interesting and a transformative topic. So the first thing that I'm curious about from your perspective is, did either you find your purpose, or did your purpose find you before you came to the US, or was it after the fact?
After the fact, for sure. Yes.
So talk to us for just a couple of moments then about what life was like for you before you came here. You're in researching you, in listening to other interviews and just some things that I read about you, it seems like your mother played a pivotal role in the way that you have let's just say your outlook on life, instrumental in teachings and things that you learned. Share a bit about your life in Belgium before coming here, and maybe some lessons that you learned from your mother that stay with you today, that you carry forward in the work that you do.
Yeah, she was a single mom, right? So no help, working hard, full-time job, providing for two young boys. And I wouldn't say we were poor, because we had shelter and we had food, right? So those are basic things, but we certainly didn't have extra money to spend. And so when I decided I wanted to go to university, luckily university or college over there is much cheaper than here. So I really did private swim lessons. I was a DJ to try to make some money. And I kind of, scrambled used stuff from my grandmother and stuff, and sold those on Sunday morning at the what you guys call a flea market. So I did whatever it take to, pay for university and try to, get that done. So obviously at a young age, I was a little bit of an entrepreneur on a low level to try to provide for myself when needed. And again, I learned from my mother that, you need to work hard to get somewhere or to pay your bills. And I also at a young age started swimming. I think that's the second important thing of my youth, which shaped me. basically was school system is different there, but I was 8 years old or 9 years old. I think that's elementary school here, right? So we did all kinds of sports. I was on a soccer team. I was on a basketball team. I was the fastest runner in the class, but I lost the swimming because a good friend of mine actually was part of the local swim team, swim club. And so he swam better than me and I lost. And I guess I was a sore loser because my solution to that was I joined the swim team. And so that's where I found my passion for swimming. And today I still joke about it, that it's actually my worst sport, right? Because it's the only thing that I lost when I was a kid. But swimming really shaped me in a way that, you know, when I look at kids today or young adults, is when they don't like to do something, they just don't anymore, right? And so there were many times that I really wasn't in the mood to go swimming or training, but I did anyways, right? So it's a commitment, and you do things that you not necessarily want to do at the time, but you know are necessary if you want to reach a certain goal. And I think it really shaped me as a youngster to, you know, to do things when they have to be done, even though you're not in the mood for them, or really, even if you don't like them. Sometimes we got to take those hurdles and do the things that need to be done. So I think those two things were, you know, key to my youth. Before I left Belgium, I was 26 when I left. And again, like you said in the intro, I saved a few $100s and took my backpack, and people say, what are you going to do if it doesn't work out? Well, number one, it's I make it work out. But number two, worst case scenario, I'm back in 10 hours. it's not that big of a deal, right?
So thinking about leaving the country and coming to the United States, you're 26 years old. What was the actual catalyst for coming here? What was it that said, it is time for me to do something different and to explore another area in this world?
Yeah. Well, you know, I traveled with the Belgian Olympic swim team in preparation for Olympic Games in Atlanta in '96. And that's when a recruiter called me up basically and said, hey, there's a shortage of physical therapists in the United States. Again, I was in my 20s. I said, what do I have to lose? Nothing. And you know, America always has been, you know, quote unquote, the land of opportunity. In Belgium, first of all, I didn't really know, I didn't have my purpose of life yet. I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew what I didn't want to do, which was being a PE teacher, which I had a license in physical education, or being a physical therapist in Belgium, because that's a hard work, long hours, and doesn't make much money over there. So I knew what I didn't want to do, and that's why I said, you know what, I'm just gonna see what's over there. And I got recruited here as a physical therapist.
Interesting. So when you came to the United States, you're recruited as a physical therapist. You come here with very few contacts and relationships. Obviously, you had some, right, through the Olympics and some of the folks that you were surrounding yourself with. But that's a big jump. It's a big risk to up and leave and come to a country that you don't have a lot of experience with. Did you, when you first came here, were you already speaking English?
Well, yeah, you know, in Belgium, luckily we get languages in school. I'm from the northern part of Belgium, which is Flemish, which is basically Dutch. The southern part speak French, so most of us get French in school, and then our third language is English. But I think most kids in Belgium pick up the language by listening to music. And also, nobody wants to read subtitles on all those good Rocco and Rambo movies at the time. So even though you may be reading, you're hearing it, you know, a lot. And so when you're young, you pick up a lot of the English language just through movies and music.
So you mentioned that you were a DJ at one point.
That's right.
You're spinning records. So the records
Yes.
that you were spinning, were they in English, and were you learning some of the vernacular through some of
Yeah,
that music?
of course. I mean,
Of course.
the good thing about it is we got all the music you guys have, all the top hits, all the English hits, and we got our own native music too. So we have a little bit more. But yeah, the hits are the hits, and they're English. But you're right. At the time, there were no CDs even when I started. So I had to go to flea markets and find the 45 RPMs that I needed.
I had plenty of those.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So now you're in the US, and share with us maybe one of the most significant challenges that you faced being starting off in this country, I know that you had started a number of businesses, you had some success, you had some failures also, but speak to the challenges aspect. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced? And kind of walk us through what or how you were able to manage through some of those challenges.
Yeah, again, I think looking backwards, the biggest challenge was, which I didn't even realize, right, is no mentor, no coach, no somebody to guide you and show you the pitfalls. And that's why I am a mentor now and feel I'm in a great position to save people time and money and agony, right? But yeah, when I started small businesses, many times things went wrong. But my motto quickly became, like you said, I never lose, I win or I learn. And so, in many occasions, I really didn't have the enough funding to start a business properly, right? So that's always a key problem. Number two, you know your strengths, and I'm a risk taker. And so if you want a business to survive, you need the counterbalance. You need somebody who looks at the numbers. You need somebody who wants some reserves in the bank account. You need somebody who guides you in those types of directions, right? So in the beginning, it was obviously funding. It was, managing the financing. It was having the right people on board that, like I said before, have the strengths where my weaknesses were. It was about, people stealing from you. And then ultimately, when you are successful, people sue you, right? Which I didn't have any experience with either. That doesn't happen in Belgium, but this remains a sue-happy country. So those are all lessons that I got along the way, but I never got down. Every time I blamed myself, I said, why did I let this happen? And then I said, okay, let's do this again. And this is not going to happen to me again. But then, of course, it got bigger and better and something else happened, right? And so, lots of lessons along the way. And now I finally, feel like I know how to start a business, run a business, how to surround myself with the right people and be successful.
So you mentioned something just a moment ago that you didn't get yourself down. And so much of that has to do with mindset, the way that we think, the way that we process, the language we use. So share with us some of the ways, or maybe some of the tactical things that you have done, some of the work you've done on yourself to maintain that type of championship mindset. So when you do face adversity, when you do face challenge, when you do fall down from whether it's a failed business or relationship, whatever it happens to be, that you're able to get yourself back up and that you take the lessons learned and that you move forward. So think about what you go through and share some of that you think would be applicable for our audience.
Yeah, like I said, when I do something and I commit to something, I'm very passionate about it and give it 110%. Otherwise, I don't start. So often it's black and white. I do it or I don't. But when I do it, I fully commit. And then unexpected things happen, right? People steal, or you get sued, or something doesn't go the way you want it to go. And obviously, I'm human, so obviously it's going to affect you. But it doesn't affect me more than 24, 48 hours, because I immediately, first of all, I probably do things like, okay, I still have to be grateful for everything else that I have: a family, a car, a roof, and food, and compare yourself to everybody else in the world, and you're still in the top 1%, even though yesterday it didn't go great, right? So you need to put things in perspective, number one. Number two, again, like we already mentioned a few times, so what did you learn here? Why did things go wrong? How come you didn't see it coming? Or why didn't you check the books and the finances and only figured out months later that people were stealing? So what can you put in place to prevent this the next time? And while you're doing that exercise, you're already, in the next business. Even though you're doing it in your mind, you are already visualizing on how it's going to go next time, right? It's a visualization exercise. So that's number two. And number three, I think still it's like, it's still your purpose of life. It's back to the 110-meter hurdles. If you know what you want and where the end is, then this was just another obstacle. Hurdle number 4. Well, I'm probably not going to make it after taking hurdle number 5. There's probably 10 hurdles. So let's take the next one with a little bit more knowledge, a little bit better preparation, so we don't make the same mistake. And then you just move on, you know? So it's putting things in perspective. And again, I think one of the more important things is to really be persistent, is knowing what you want and what your purpose is. Because if you have that fire and passion, nothing's going to stop you. If you don't have it, you'll give up pretty fast. And there's no reason to take a next hurdle.
So true. Well, you just shared some phenomenal insights, and you know, as I'm taking notes here, I'm listening, and I also heard you mention the word gratitude. Having gratitude for what you do have, even though you might be going through a difficult season at this moment. You know that, as you said, when you take a look at perspective and you take a look around the world, you are in the top 1%, right? You may have a roof over your head, you have food available to you, you have certain resources. It may not seem like it, you may not have the same resources that someone else has who you might be comparing yourself to, but you have access and you can figure out a way. So you have obviously mentioned purpose and passion several times already. So I asked you if you had developed or found your purpose prior to coming to the US, which you had not. So now we're here. When did you discover your purpose, or did your purpose discover you?
Yeah, I think my purpose discovered me until I realized, well, this is it. So it was always health. You know, after I came to the United States, I came as a physical therapist. Then I saw in one of the places I worked at, where they also did acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine, that I saw that those, what they call alternative medicines, which basically are the original ones, but anyways, that's another topic, right? That they actually, you know, really worked well together. So I got interested in those types of alternative therapies. And so I went back to school to the Florida College of Integrative Medicine for 3 years, got my license in acupuncture, doctor of Oriental Medicine, certified in homeopathy, and you name it. And then after another several hundred patients, I figured that these alternative therapies like food therapy, chiropractic, acupuncture, those types of things, they are less harmful and less invasive than conventional medicine, meaning drugs and surgeries. But I didn't really think they gave the people long-lasting results either. So I was a little bit disappointed. So I figured I had to go back to basics and look a little bit further. So that's when I decided to get my PhD in holistic nutrition, and also look at Mother Nature to see what animals in the wild do, because Mother Nature never lies. And by doing that, I really got very confident, and I still am today, that I'm very confident I can help anyone with any medical ailment. I can, and I have 3 steps in doing that. Number 1, I help people regain control of their health, meaning balance their body and making sure they have no pain or no medical conditions anymore, and get them back to what we call normal, right? And then once they're quote unquote normal, the second step is get them into optimal health. In other words, incorporate lifestyle modifications and changes so that they can be strong and vital and fit and in control of their physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. So that's what we call optimal health. And then optimal health, phase number 3, optimal health would be the ideal foundation to practice what we call biohacking today, which is upgrading your body, your brain, and your human life. And biohacking also means that we are going to objectively reverse your biological age. So I'm very comfortable I can help people in those 3 areas to upgrade their body, brain, and life.
Beautiful. So these areas you address in your latest book. Now, you have written a number of books, which we'll certainly link to those in the show notes, but I want to focus our attention on your latest book. And you in this book, it's called the Izod Method, and it's really a guide to resilience and adapting, right? Izod is an acronym for in the zone of demand. So share with us a bit about the process of bringing this book to life. Why did you feel that now was the right time to write this book? And who is this book for? What audience are you speaking to?
Yes, the reason I wrote the book is because I always feel I'm on the edge of what's happening in health. I wouldn't say medicine or disease, because we don't deal with that. We just eradicate that, right? But so that's biohacking and upgrading the body. So when I was talking not too long ago about all these strategies and tips to upgrade the body, the brain, and the mind during the COVID area, and just lately, I really realized, talking to many people, and in one podcast, there were actually 30 college students in the studio of the host. And so I realized that it's not only about, therapies and fixing and supplements and upgrading, but that's when I realized that most people don't have a purpose in life. And that's when I also realized that my message needs to be bigger than just being healthy. Because I can talk about health and biohacking and stem cells and the brain and focus and productivity and the 5 intelligence hormones, and I can do that for days on end. But if I have one message to share with the world, it's like, let's find your purpose in life, because that's the basis for everything. And so that's when I decided, okay, we're going to make a book that talks about optimizing productivity and focus, and freeing up valuable time, because most of us are doing jobs and projects and tasks that don't even contribute to our dreams or our purpose of life. So that's a waste of time. And we need to live stress-free, because stress comes from fear and worry and uncertainty. So that all ties in with that purpose of life. So yes, the book is about identifying your purpose of life. Step number 1, because that will set the stage. Then on how to plan and strategize, because now we need to accomplish something, right? So now we need to make a plan and a strategy. And then identifying the people that we need, because we need a team of experts, and we need to surround ourselves with the right people in order to reach those dreams and goals and reach our highest potential. And then, we need to attack those obstacles, but those obstacles now are opportunities. Those are incremental steps to reach our dreams and our goals. And then we need to just be relentless, right, in doing that. And so I'm a coach or a mentor, helping people with those different steps, making them accountable every week when we do Zoom calls every week, and making sure they did what they said they were going to do, because those incremental small steps are the key to reaching that high goal. When we set big goals, we get overwhelmed. And when we get overwhelmed, it's stress, and we don't want the stress. But once we know the incremental steps to get to that big goal, we're coming closer and closer, and each step is easy to take. We can take them every day, every week. So I make sure I make them accountable for that, and I coach them until they reach their goals and their dreams, whether that's in health, in personal life, or in business.
Perfect. Well, let's start then with purpose. And could you share maybe a few tactical things that our audience can do as they think about trying to find their purpose, if they're not sure what it is today, if they're not sure of what that is that lights them up, that fire that gets them up every day? What would you suggest to somebody if you're talking to somebody right now?
It will be in my book, so I'll reveal it right now on your show at first time.
Wonderful.
I have a 3-step exercise. And the first part of the exercise is, if you had to do a TEDx talk tomorrow, right? Everybody know what that is. There's going to be probably a few 100,000 views if you get on a TEDx talk. What would be the top 3 or top 5 topics that you would talk about, and write them down? Okay. So that's the first exercise. So everybody can do that. The second exercise is, close your eyes and imagine you stand on top of a mountain, beautiful scenery, and you're just standing there enjoying it. And then suddenly you see that at the base of the mountain, people are walking towards you, and they're sitting down and looking up at you. And a few minutes later, 8 billion people are sitting at the base of the mountain. And now you have 10 minutes only to convey one message to the world. One message only. What would that message be? And so then part 3 of the exercise is, does that message from the top of the mountain match any of the topics of your TEDx talk? And often it does not. Because in my case, all the TEDx talk topics were health related, biohacking or regaining control of your health or whatever it may be, right? Because those are usually based on your expertise and your credentials. And they also may be partially based on you wanting to make money because you have credentials, you want a message out, and that message will make you money. Also help people, but make you money. So those are usually your TEDx talk topics. The one on top of the mountain usually is a much bigger message because the whole world is listening, 8 billion people, right? So you're thinking bigger. And that message may not be aligning with your credentials or your expertise, but that comes from the heart. And that is your purpose in life. Even though you don't know how to do or how to accomplish that message or put it into play, that doesn't matter. The fact that you get, the question you ask is, which one of those topics, the TEDx topics or the one on top of the mountain, which one makes you excited, gets you passionate about, or gets you a little bit of fire in your stomach? That's your purpose of life. And maybe it's not what you know how to do right now, but it doesn't matter. That's your purpose. Then we can make a plan, and then we'll figure out how to, or which experts that we need. But that's your purpose in life. So that's one of the 3-part exercise that will really help people identify. And often, as you know, Jay, their job does not align with that. Whatever they're doing today does not align with that. And we're not necessarily asking to just drop the job because we need to pay our bills, but we can look at what you're doing now and what you should be doing right now and see how we can transition into that, right?
Love that. So we have the 3-step exercise, which is an outstanding exercise. Thank you for going through that. And then obviously plan and strategy. So we would start with the purpose, we would go through the exercise, and now we begin to lay out the plan and the strategies to be able to reach and be able to do the things that align with our purpose. And is there anything in the plan strategy piece of this that would be something that you could share, something that our audience should be thinking about, maybe something that they can start to do immediately?
Yeah. And the book has a lot of strategies and tips that may work for some and not necessarily for others, right? So the plan and strategy is customized to you and your purpose. But there's many things to increase focus, productivity, free up time. Again, you may be doing projects, or you may be doing somebody favors and helping them out. But your questions now is going to always become, is this activity or project or task that I'm doing contributing to my goal or my purpose of life or not? And so what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of a lot of things that we are doing that is not purpose to our dreams and goals. We're going to do a lot of time management. We're going to get morning and evening routines. We call them power routines. We're going to make appointments with ourselves. We're going to manage time much better because we cannot borrow time. We cannot buy time. So we need to use it wisely. And so, that's where social media comes in too, because we waste a lot of time today on social media. And it's not contributing to our purpose. We respond to social media and we get engaged in it, but is it really contributing to our purpose? I don't know. Maybe if your job is social media, maybe yes, but for most of us, no. We're going to make to-do lists. We're going to make lists of the things that we like to do in life and that we dislike to do in life. There's many strategies also on how to make decisions and respond to things. For example, your wife and your daughter come to you because it's time that your daughter has a car and they want this new Toyota Camry. And so now you're the head of the household. You need to make a decision, but it's stressful, right? So, but you need to know that we don't have to make decisions right now and then. We always have options. So when there's a stressful situation, we need to first sit down and say, what are our options? And once we are options, we can go from there and make a decision, not now, but later. For example, in the case of the car, does it have to be a new car? Can it be a used car? Number one. Number two, maybe I got to talk to my CPA because maybe I can make this car an investment in my business. Or I can talk to a guy that I know that's in car sales to see what he or she thinks. And I can sit down with my daughter and the wife or the mother and discuss the situation. So what are the options? Buy, not buy, rent, lease, have the company buy it, so it's a tax write-off. These are the options. And then which one are the viable options? And let's discuss those with the CPA, this and this. And then we're going to make a decision in 10 days from now. All right, so now all the stress of the decision making is gone because we have options. It's called the SOD framework, stress, options, decision. And so there's many strategies and tips in the book that we will implement and customize for each and every person. Because what we really need to create is a scripted life. Everything needs to be scripted. Our calendar needs to be, it's the most important thing in our life. Our home may be organized and may be clean and it may look like a model home, but our calendar needs to be the same. Most people's calendar is a mess. And so our calendar needs to be scripted. We need to have control of our life because control creates clarity, and clarity omits stress. No stress if we know what's coming to us tomorrow, next week, etc., etc. So in the book, we teach on how to put your calendar together, how to look forward, how to get rid of things that are on the calendar that shouldn't be there, how to add things that are more important, how to keep things rolling on your calendar. And it goes on and on and on, Jay. In the book, it's going to be 500 pages.
Wonderful. Well, clearly the book provides some amazing tools that can help us all out. Since you mentioned about power routines, which falls under the planning and strategy component of this, can you share a bit about your own personal power routine? How do you start your days? What seems to work well for you? What time do you get up, and how do you start your day?
Yeah, first thing I do when I get up is I drink hydrogen water. So I need a glass of water, and it's hydrogen gas infused water. It takes me 20 seconds. Then I usually do a brain dump. Most people know what a brain dump is, but your brain's going wild and there's a million of things going on. I need the car serviced. I need to plan a date with my girlfriend. I need to do this for this project. I need to call this guy, that guy. My low back hurts. Maybe I did too much at the gym. All those thoughts, and what you're going to do is a pen and a piece of paper, and you're gonna kind of dump it all on there, whether you write a word or whether you draw something, and you keep going until it's all dumped down. Now, some of the things you dump on your sheet is a to-do thing, right? So that now needs to be transferred or transposed to your calendar. I need to make an appointment with the chiropractor for my back. I need to schedule a babysitter for next Saturday because I'm going to take my girlfriend on a date. I need to call Jay because I need to postpone my podcast because I can't do it tomorrow, right? So those are to-do things. And now suddenly all the stress is relieved because things are out of my brain, they're cleared, and the other things that need to be done are on my calendar. So that usually takes 5-10 minutes. After that, I do a 3-4 minute cold bath in my garage. I got a cold bath, which is cryotherapy. So I do some biohacking in the morning right there. And then I start my day. I don't do breakfast. I usually take juices with me that I juice. So I have juices and I have my supplements. So I take my juices and my supplements. Breakfast is the least important meal of the day. So please don't eat breakfast and go on with your day because I have my calendar and I have my to-do things. Yeah.
And then when do you actually have your first meal?
First meal, I usually have something small at lunch, but ideally when I'm preparing for something or a world record or I'm into the zone, I only would have one meal a day. I juice during the day and I take my supplements, but I only would have one meal a day because that's what our digestive system is biologically and physiologically designed for, no matter what everybody else says. Jesus, Moses, the Romans, the Greeks only ate once a day. All animals in the wild only eat once a day. That's what we should do. And so in our society, I suggest you do that early evening because it takes several hours to digest based on what you eat, because we don't want to be digesting food while we're sleeping, because sleep's very important too. We need to repair, replenish, regenerate, and renew during sleep. So early evening is the best time to eat one healthy meal during the day.
Excellent. Anything in particular that you recommend or that you do in terms of sleep and improving the quality of our sleep?
Well, yeah, don't eat or drink several hours before. As we just mentioned, also you need to wind down, right? So I like to be in bed 10 o'clock if I can earlier. But so 9 o'clock, that's when you really want to put your social media and your phone off. When you get tired, you're gonna make bad decisions anyway. You don't want to do a business call. You don't want to keep working because everything goes slow and you probably are not gonna provide quality work. You need to wind down. So put your social media off. So we just talked about my morning routine. So my power evening routine is get the social media off. And then I usually, after taking a shower and brushing my teeth, I lay down in bed, but I don't go to sleep yet. I do visualization, which only takes 3 minutes, funnily speaking, but I'm going to go through the next day, 24 hours, and I'm going to make right choices in my mind, right? So, okay, tomorrow I'm going to get up, I'm going to swim, then I'm going to do this. I got to drive to Melbourne to this office. I'm going to see patients. Then I'm going to do this. What am I going to do for lunch? Well, I'm going to go there. I'm going to get a healthy meal, or no, I'm going to take 2 juices with me. So I'm making right choices in my mind and I'm walking myself through the day. Only takes 3 minutes. So then when the day comes next day, Jake, and I have the decision for lunch, I already made the decision, the day before, and it's going to be a good decision. So I do visualization for 3-4 minutes. And then I may do 20-30 minutes. If my kids are home, I may do a little bit of TV or Netflix or talk to them. Or I do some podcast or something that I want to know about. I do some research. But to me, it's winding down because it's something that I want to know. It's something that I want to do. It's personal time, right? 20-30 minutes. And then I go to sleep because then, a half an hour, 40 minutes passed by. Sometimes I use an app called New Calm to put on a deep sleep, which is a binary beats and some type of music that puts you more in a deeper sleep. Sometimes I feel I need it and sometimes I feel I don't need it. So again, it's kind of an evening power routine. But to sleep good, you got to clear your mind. That's why I do the visualization. So I'm not worrying about tomorrow. No, I already did it for 3 minutes. I got that out of the way so I don't have to worry or think about tomorrow. And then put the social media off so I'm not stimulated and my mind slowly can calm down so I can go to sleep.
Outstanding. So many great tools that you just shared with us. Thank you for pulling back the curtain and let us seeing what your routine looks like. I think there's definitely some things in there that I'm going to change and start to add to my routine. And as I look at it, Mike, I'm always a work in progress. So there's a lot of things that I have tried, that many things I'm consistent with every single day because I feel like I'm dialed in certain areas, but there are always things that I can do differently, that I can learn, that I can try to implement and see what works for me. And not everything that we do is going to work for the next person. So experiment, test, do the things that seem to work well for you. Obviously, your book is customized, so we can all learn something from the book. And obviously, we only had a brief amount of time to be able to go through some of the areas. You already mentioned how detailed and how in-depth the book is. So I'm super excited for you. I'm super excited for all of those who are going to be able to read this book, learn from it, and apply the lessons learned in your own life, both personally and professionally. So I wanted to ask you, what are 1 to 2 big questions that you're asking yourself today?
That I'm asking myself today. Does it have to be related to business?
It does not. Just anything as you look over where you are at this stage in life, what are some of the big just 1 to 2 questions that you're asking yourself?
Yeah, man, where is the world going, right? And it's I don't want to go into politics. I'm not into politics, but there's a much bigger picture, and you can just boil it down to good and evil, right? Globalism, deep state, reset. And so there's a little bit of a fear that things, that evil is really putting forth a good effort to take all those freedoms away that we talked about. So we need to fight back. And that's why that's why I think I'm trying to contribute by having people reveal or find their purpose of life, because once they have it, they're going to be relentless in what they believe in. So we need more of those passionate, relentless people. And so if I can find people that don't have their purpose yet and reveal it, maybe we get some more warriors out there, right? So where is this world going? And we just got to keep believing that good will prevail for humanity. So that's first, that's a key question on a bigger scale. Like you said, you don't have all the solutions, and we continue to better ourselves. I'm trying to learn every day, and I got my weaknesses. I know my weaknesses. I always in the past was focused on the physical body, and now I'm really getting more into the mind, the purpose of life, belief system, manifesting, visualization. But I'm not a strong suit there. That's where I needed mentors. That's where I needed guidance, and now I need more and more practice there, because the mind is the blueprint, right? And so, if you believe, because they always say manifesting, you can believe in something, but you not only to believe it, you have to live as if you're already there, right? As if you already achieved that dream. But that doesn't mean you have to drive that car or you have to be obnoxious. What it means is you need to feel. It's a feeling that you already achieved that goal. And if you can do that without any doubt or any wavering, then the universe, there's only one possible outcome for you, and that's that big win and making that dream come true. However, if your mind has doubt, oh, I'm not so sure if I'm gonna reach that goal, then the universe suddenly has two options: success and failure. So the mind becomes so powerful in achieving those goals and dreams that's why it's also a big part of my book, and that's why it's called the ISOT method, in the zone, on demand. Because we all have been in the zone before, but usually by accident. I was in the zone and this is how it felt. But how do we reproduce that? How do we get in the zone on demand? And that's what the book is about. And that's what I'm trying to teach people is we got to be on the zone. We got to control everything here, focus, produce, be in the zone, no wavering, no doubt. And if we can accomplish that, the dreams are right in front of us and nobody can take them away.
So well said. And just remember, for all of you that are watching and listening right now, of all the things that have been discussed on this particular episode, the things that Mike shares in his book, it always takes action. We always have to do something with the information that we're learning. So speaking of taking action, Mike, can you share a challenge that you'd like to give our audience?
Yeah, I mean, we can go back to purpose of life. Ask yourself if you found it or not. And if not, it's time. It's time that you do that exercise or really dig deep. And don't be afraid, because we're usually limited by our dreams. When we were a kid, Jay, we all wanted a superpower, right? And so ask yourself, what was the superpower that you wanted as a kid? And when we were a kid, we dreamed about who we wanted to be. And actually at that time, we believed without any doubt that we could be that person, that we could have those powers, until somebody, most likely our parents, told us it was impossible. So then most of us settled for ordinary, and here we are. And some of us continue to chase those dreams and do whatever it takes to accomplish those. But we need to wake up, everybody, and you need to wake up yourself and say, what was it that I dreamed about, and what is it that I would be passionate about? And even though you're far away from that today, you need to just like derail yourself from what you're doing and you're not happy with, and find a way to get back on track. When you had that cape around and were running around the house, that's where you need to be today. So ask yourself those questions, and ask yourself if you're happy, if you have any fire or any passion about what you're doing. And if not, it's time to change right now. Yeah.
Well, you heard it right there. Look forward to hearing your responses. Make sure you take that challenge, do the work, and take action. Figure out what that purpose and passion is for you. And Mike, I have all of your social handles. We'll obviously share all of that on the show notes. We'll also provide links to where our audience can go to purchase copies of your book, to be able to see and consume the amazing work that you put out. I've got one final question for you, and that is, could you share with us what the most difficult decision is that you've had to make in the pursuit of who you've become?
Well, the most difficult decision is you grow up with friends and family and people that you're comfortable with. But if you want to reach your goals and your dreams, you need to be able to move to higher levels and surround yourself with people that are at that higher development level. And you also need to surround yourself with people that are at the next level where you are not at. So what it means, Jay, is that you need to leave people behind, and those people are not going to approve of you, moving on or making certain decisions, because they're comfortable in their bubble and they're comfortable with you as part of their life, and they're going to do everything. They're going to criticize you because they don't want to make that step. They don't want to make that move. They're going to pull you back, and they're going to do that in the form of, oh, you're making a bad decision. Are you crazy? Or we can't support you with that. And so the hard part is to leave those people behind, because otherwise you're not going to get to the next level.
That is so true. Thank you for sharing that. Greatly appreciate it. And Dr. Mike Van Thielen, thank you so much for the conversation today. Thank you for sharing your insights, for you're answering any question and going down different paths with us. I greatly appreciate it. I'm grateful for you, and thank you so much for being here.
Jay, I got to thank you too, because even though people like me have a message, without people like yourself, the message won't get spread. Listeners won't hear it. So this is teamwork, and I appreciate your time and efforts of doing what you do and what you're passionate about.
It is absolutely my pleasure. And for all of you, thank you so much for watching and for listening. And would you please take a moment to subscribe, rate, leave us a review? That goes a long way. Let us know what you thought about this particular episode. And to enjoy more episodes, all you need to do is visit jscherbusinessconsulting.com, click on the podcast button. And until next time, keep learning and growing. And we'll see you on the next Business Minds Coffee Chat. Take care, everybody.
Jay Scherr.
Jay Scherr.
Jay Scherr.
Jay Scherr, business consultant.
Jay Scherr. Jay Scherr Business Consulting.